Don't know how to build a team from scratch or find good teammates? Dreamteam.gg, the ultimate team building platform. Find and connect with new players, coaches, and teams, manage and monetize your team, and get on a fast track to advance from novice to amateur and, if desired, a professional gamer. Join dreamteam.gg today. Reported by Colin Campbell on Polygon on January 29th at 1 p.m., it was reported that Microsoft had serious interests in acquiring major game publishers in order to beef up their first-party releases on not only the Xbox, but on the UWP. Quote, "We spoke to 4 analysts who all agree that Microsoft needs to act soon, and that major acquisitions are by far the most likely route." Pierce Harding-Rolls of IHS, Juice Van Duren of Superdata Research, and David Cole of DFC Intelligence are named as sources, although Polygon lists 4 sources. Also, for those who have zero clue who these people or companies are, let me clue you in. IHS, or the Information Handling Services Market, is a London-based company that, quote, provides information and analysis to support the decision-making process of businesses and governments. Superdata Research uses, quote, proprietary data partnerships that collect point-of-sale and event data from publishers, developers, and payment service providers. This allows us to base our analysis on the monthly spending of over 160 million unique paying digital gamers worldwide. DFC Intelligence Research, quote, is offered in many forms, tailored from startups to the largest global conglomerates. Products are delivered in formats ranging from industry briefs and reports to full data visualization and non-manipulation. Tools that allow users to view research as they want to see. Why am I explaining these market analysis groups to you? Because these people, according to Polygon, think Microsoft is going to buy Valve. Quote, "Some of the names being thrown around as possible acquisitions by Microsoft are frankly astounding and even unthinkable. But the fact that they are doing rounds is intrusive. The most recent one we've heard from a reliable source close to Microsoft is in fact EA. We've also heard whispers about Valve and Korean outfit PUBG." This small section of the report was picked up by almost every other major gaming news site, a copycat strategy that is becoming ever increasingly common. This led to Reddit posts named things like, quote, "Microsoft is reportedly considering buying EA, PUBG, and Valve" to gain some traction, and causing many members of Valve's many communities to worry, because a Microsoft acquisition would change everything, but we'll get to that in a second. Out of the 3 named analysis groups sourced by Polygon, there is zero evidence that any of them ever worked with Valve. These companies list large conglomerate organizations that they have worked with on their site, and Valve is not mentioned in the documentation once. Also, speculation, Valve really wouldn't need a separate company to tell them what they should do. We all know Valve does whatever they friggin' want. That's why we got VR and paid sprays instead of sequels. And with all of Steam's market research data to learn from, it seems incredibly unlikely that they would ever need another third party to tell them data. In response to this article, however, I contacted every person I know from Valve, and out of the ones that did get back, the information was news to them. David Kircher from the Nuclear Monkey software team brought on to Valve to make Portal 1, and current Artifact programmer, quote, "I don't work for Microsoft, so I have no idea. Every time it's come up in the past, I've heard Gabe say something along the lines of, Valve has no plans to be acquired by tech giant of the day, so I wouldn't put much thought into it." Aiden Kroll from the Steam team, currently working on Steam U, the complete Steam UI overhaul, said, quote, "Blol, I hope not." Doug Lombardi, self-proclaimed VP of PR at Valve, said, quote, "More context, please." And Henry G from Valve said on Reddit, quote, "If Valve were to run out of money for some impossible reason, like if Gabe decides to spend all of our money on building a private Mars base and then just disappearing after draining the bank, well, Steam is a valuable asset, so we would likely be forced by the courts to sell it to another company." Also, unrelated, but Mr. Newell has commented on a possible acquisition by EA back in 2012 with, quote, "Valve would sooner disintegrate than sell out to a major publisher." The following day, the same author, Colin Campbell, published a second article on Polygon on how a Valve acquisition would make sense and could still happen regardless of Gabe's opinion. Quote, "In Valve's case, an acquisition comes with the massive power of PC games retail portal Steam, as well as the popular gaming brands like Counter-Strike and Dota 2. Microsoft is keen on exploring games as platforms at which Valve excels. But boss Gabe Newell, a former Microsoft employee, is known for his desire for independence and for his often scathing opinions about Microsoft's strategy. Still, our analysts were all open to Valve as a possibility. They said it would fit with Microsoft's desire to leverage PC gaming and the interest in the cloud, while also handling overpriced brands like Half-Life, Portal, Team Fortress, and Left 4 Dead, and offering an entry into esports. But all this hinges on Newell. It's possible he wants to focus on VR rather than digital retailing, and might be willing to spin off Valve's less interesting assets. Then a third article was published a day after that on the 31st, also on Polygon, titled, "Microsoft purchasing Valve would pay for itself in profits and power. It's not as ridiculous as you might think." A summary of the article's points are, Gabe and Valve may not appear to want to sell. However, Valve appears to be coasting, and Gabe is interested in VR, and Microsoft convinced Notch to sell regardless of his prior opinions of the company. Steam would give Microsoft a majority share in the PC gaming market and access to the largest wealth of market information through Steam. CSGO and Dota 2 would be a major profit center, and Microsoft would have a huge hand in esports. Microsoft could put Half-Life 3 on the fast track, citing how the new Star Wars were laughable until Disney bought it. They say that they could throw money at a creative team, and links to Laidlaw's Epistle 3 as an example. Side note, Laidlaw is done with Half-Life. Epistle 3 made that abundantly clear. Double side note, that's also not how Valve works. So they would need to hire people whom have zero history with the company to produce the follow-up. Valve already can throw money at any dev team, but like a 20-something procrastinating on an essay, Valve is really just stalling until inspiration strikes. Now, whether or not they have the ability to finish any projects right now is up for debate, and another video topic altogether. Quote, Microsoft could ship it as part of a purple box with Left 4 Dead 3 and Portal 3, which are the other series that have sat dormant as Valve rakes in the cash from other ventures. Valve is sitting on a wealth of IP that is severely underutilized, and Microsoft has all the reasons in the world to bring all these exclusives out of retirement. Okay, if Valve was bought by a publicly traded company, the first thing done at all would be to clean house and announce everything. The Team Fortress team would be forced to close or fired. They've had 10 years, that's a good run. The VR games would either be canceled or pushed out the door. There's not enough market saturation to warrant this much energy. And then they would announce everything 3. TF3, Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3, and Half-Life 3. And that sounds exciting, but why would they do that? Because that would greatly impress the shareholders. So what's the issue? The games would suck. Valve is fickle. Valve is unprofessional. And coming from a person who has devoted the better part of the last 7 years of their time on this planet to reporting on this company, let me tell you, Valve doesn't do things because people want them to do those things. They only do things because they want to do them. That's why when they do make games, they feel like the people working on them were so absurdly passionate about them, they sounded like children excited to tell them friends that they got a Switch during the development process. They do things because they're excited to do those things. That's it. They don't really care about what other people think when it comes to their game development process. It's just how it is. It's always been like this. So if Microsoft were to come in and restructure and force people onto dev teams and make them take on roles and get these games done, number 1, they would be worse than if they were created organically. Number 2, many if not all of the employees currently at Valve will quit. And number 3, the weird creative side of Valve that made things like Steam VR and the Steam controller and, well, Steam would die. Oh, I also left out a response I got from Jeep Barnett, one of the people responsible for Portal 1. When asked if Valve will or will ever sell to Microsoft, he stated, quote, as the great engineer once said, "Nope."